morning, everybody. Anyways, I had came home to kind of overripe bananas. So I decided I don't want to work on that until my next meeting, so I'm making banana bread. So I'm gonna make it with all these ingredients. I'm actually gonna make one batch with nuts, Brazilian nuts. You gotta love those Brazilian nuts. They're so big and juicy. Delicious. Anyways, so the first thing you're gonna do is take your bananas and mush them in your hands. This makes them more pliable to eat. So just mush, 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 mush. And you're gonna do it with all your bananas that you're gonna eat, gonna use. So you smush them. They make them easier to work with later on. And then once you smush them, you're gonna put them in your bowl, and then with a potato masher, you might mash them up a little more. I like mine a little chunky, so I might not puree it like some people like to puree, but you know, each to its own. Cooking is all about taste, and I don't like mushy texture. I like mine a little chunky and hard. Excellent. All right, I'm gonna put it in the bowl now. Bowls. Let's see if you can see my bowl. So, peel it. Okay. Don't need to see that. All right. Now that I've mashed my bananas, well, I haven't mashed them yet, but using a potato masher. If you don't have one, you could always use a fork to mash up the bananas. It's always better to mash the bananas first before you do other things. So it's all nice and mashed pretty quick because I had smushed it together. Next, I'm gonna put my vanilla extract. So this is from Mexico. Mexican vanilla is one of the best. Have that, and also when I went to Tahiti, I always have dried vanilla, Tahitian vanilla, which is great. It's a powdery and it's awesome. And I always like to add a little cinnamon. So I'm adding these things into my ingredients because I want to make sure they are infused all through the. There we go. Perfect. I'm gonna add a little more vanilla. I love vanilla. And the other thing you're gonna do is you're gonna add a couple of eggs. Eggs help keep the banana bread together. So I think I'm gonna add 3. There's no rhyme or reason how many you add, I suppose. The more you add, the denser it'll be, but so you don't want to add too much, but you need to add enough to keep the banana bread together. Okay, there we go. Good, next is some vegetable oil. And mix it up. And I'm going to add some baking powder. So you want to add all these liquid and kind of small ingredients so that it gets mixed throughout all the baking stuff. So it doesn't get lost in the flour or the chocolate chips, but those will go back later in as well as the nuts. So next is really the 2 other ingredients, which is sugar and what? So I'll first put in the sugar. And then I found this brown sugar, which is awesome because you know how brown sugar is clumpy? This one, I don't know, is that Korean? I think it's Korean or Chinese, but they make great brown sugar that's not clumpy, and it's actually, it stays very granular, so it makes it easier to work with, and you don't get clumpy brown sugar that makes it harder to, what do you call it? Yeah, anyways, okay. Oh yeah. Mix it together. See how all the liquid blends in well. Now the last thing I need is my flour. I like to use what do you call it? The biscuit, because it has pre-self-rising already, and instead of regular flour. I guess you can use regular flour as well, but this one I think makes it more fluffy in my for me, kind of like fluffy pancake mix. So just add a little bit and you mix it, and you're trying to get consistency of kind of a thick, I don't know how to describe it, semi-thick, almost like pancake batter, but a little thicker, because this is kind of like pancake batter. See how it goes in there? I kind of like mine a little thicker. Again, for me, it's just eyeballing. I have no idea how much flour is in there, but mix it. See how it's getting thicker again. Since it's banana bread, you want it thicker than cake batter mix. So it's not runny, it shouldn't be runny, but it should be thick. I'm gonna try to do it where it isn't so fast rolling down. Okay, I think that's good. See how it's not running down, but it's takes a second for it to kind of drop down there. That's how thick I kind of want it. Maybe a little thicker. Look at that. Look at that. That's about right. Perfect. That's my thickness, and then the next thing I do is make sure that it is as sweet as I want it to be. Be a little sweeter with the chocolate chip as well, but let's add a little sugar to it. So as you see, there's the consistency of my batter. It's in between a cake and a cookie consistency. Or maybe it's like peanut. Well, it's not peanut butter. Peanut butter's too thick. But anyways, you know what I mean. And that's it. Now I forgot to turn the oven on. It's gonna be oven bake. I will probably put it at 420. Actually let's put 375, 385, depending on where you're at, because with cakes you want it a little lower because it has to cook in the middle of the pan, whereas cookies you end up cooking it quicker so that it gets around the cookie and there's less space for it to cook, so you want to cook it fast instead of slow. And you grab the pans. Okay, next is the butter up. Pans. Can't remember where we're missing another pan. So I'm gonna do two things: banana bread and cupcakes or muffins. Oil, grease your pans. I'll keep it from sticking to the side. Grease that pan. All over you can. These are already pre-greased, but greased non-stick. But it's always good to be on the safe side. So I have one roommate that can't have nuts. So what we're gonna do for him is make one without nuts, or a couple of things without nuts, and then I'll put nuts in there. Okay. And our first batch. I suppose you can always use a bigger spoon. That works. Just you gotta remember that muffins will cook long faster than the other ones, so keep your muffins. There we go. We'll give them 5 muffins. The rest I'm gonna put as things. So what I do with the nuts is I also smash them up. So the trick to smashing is you just put the nuts. I'm gonna use some of these nuts, and I love lots of nuts, so lots of nuts to do. Brazilian nuts. Look at these nuts, so delicious, big, fat. Wow, you just I used to have it. Oh, there it is. Come on. Pound those nuts until they're nice. Each to its own flavor. Some people like the nuts and tiny. I like mine big, chunky, so I won't mash it as much. I want every bite to have a nice big chunk of nut. Alright, my nuts are all smashed. See how nice and big chunks they are. Put them in there. Oh yeah, I forgot to put some nice sweet chocolate chips in there too. And go back and add some in here. How do you know when you got enough nuts? Every spoonful should have a big layer of nuts. And if you don't, that means you need to add more nuts. Or chocolate chip, whichever goes. Don't skip on the nuts. You're at home, you're not at a restaurant or something that skims on ingredients. You gotta keep it up. See how, look at those chunks of nuts and chocolate. Oh, nuts and chocolate. Ta-da! Alright. So the next thing really is to dump it into your bowl or your pan. So look at all those pieces of nuts and chocolate. That's how I know you're doing it right. And of course, you're not supposed to really fill them up probably 3/4 of the way because they're gonna rise. Muffins you can fill a little higher just because they cook faster and so they won't rise as much as the slow cooking one. So that looks right. About, about a little couple inches there. And now put the rest of it in here. It's about right. So I'm just gonna, no, it's a little too much, but that's okay. Let it flow, and then these I might push down. They'll probably eventually go in, but using a chopstick, staple of every Asian household, and voila. Now you're gonna just bake it in the oven and bake it. And baking out will be probably for the cupcakes around 15-20 minutes, and then the bread will probably be more like half an hour, 45 minutes for it to bake. Ginger. Looks like the muffins are ready. Look at that. Look at those muffins. So the trick, of course, is to poke in there, make sure it comes out cleanly. Clean. And just know that they will cook a little more as well as you. But they're clean. Clean, clean. So now I'm gonna use pop these out. To cool it off. Dang it. Dang it. Okay, we're gonna let that wet, and what I like to do sometimes is, if it's not sweet enough, I might put Nutella on top of it as a frosting coating. But I think it's gonna be sweet enough, and it looks delicious. And those are the other two. Let's just check. This one might not. No, that one's not right. See how it's wet? That means it's not done yet. That one needs to go back. The trick is, if you see that it's starting to cook too much, put a foil over it. So I can see right now that the middle is way too raw, and if I keep it open and exposed, it's going to take a lot longer than I want it to. So what I'm going to do is put a foil wrap on top of it and put it back in. There we go. Alright. That's it. And the other trick is you wrap it, because really it's the middle that's raw. So I'm going to do two things. One, wrap it and shrink it down to 350. And that should help give me time to cook more. And this little guy seems good. It's coming out clean. And that's it. And la pièce de résistance. Put in there. It's it's dry, but at least it's going away. It'll probably cook a little more, but I'm gonna leave that. And as you can see, no burntness on it. Looks perfect. We're good to go. There you go. Bon appetit.